to This Just In with This Just In, Justin Core as your host. This is a show where we take a deeper dive into the stories most important to you with people who bring you those stories. And today, our guest, a returning Core respondent, the night teams, Abby Davis.
Yes, happy to be back. My second appearance. So
Your second
a regular
appearance.
now, I suppose.
Not that we're keeping score. I mean, I would like you to be more of a regular, but you are tough to track down. Our schedules do not overlap.
Nope, totally opposite.
At all. So I
Yep.
appreciate you coming in early. And we had you scheduled a few times, and then you were like, bruv, I'm busy. I'm going out, making news, getting the big stories. I don't have time for your little YouTube show or whatever.
We made it work, though. We made it work.
We very Tim Gunned it. We made it work. Last time you were on, we talked about how you are a trained ballerina. You can go back and watch that show if you want. It's on the playlist. And I heard someone might have stopped you out in public to ask you about it. Is that right?
Yeah, it was so funny. I was at a food pantry for a story.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and somebody there mentioned how she heard and watched that I used to do ballet. So people watch your show.
Okay, we'll talk more about that in a second. Did she ask you to do something? She was
No,
like, prove
no.
it. Do a plie. Is that a move?
That is a move. She didn't ask me to prove it, which was nice. I'm out of practice. I'm no longer flexible. I don't have my skills. So
Oh my gosh. I've never been flexible, so good for you. So I think you said that to someone else at the station as well. You were like, oh, like people watch this show. People watch This Just In. And I think I might beg to differ.
Oh.
Like, I think some people watch it. Thanks, Mom. But also, like those little teaser, like VOSOTs, little teaser stories that are on the News at Noon, News at 4. I think maybe they saw one of those.
Okay. Well, maybe you have a following. You never know.
Maybe I have a following. I don't know. Yeah.
And maybe it encouraged her to watch it.
There you
So-
go. If you can get your parents to watch, if all the parents of all the guests on This Just In watch, we're finally going to start doing some numbers. We do have advertisers now. So regardless, Abby, I appreciate the credit. Thank you so much. Yes. And so you're not doing ballet anymore right now.
No, I need to get back and start doing some adult classes with Ballet Idaho. I did for a split second, but I've stopped doing that. It would be fun. I think about it every now and then.
Is it like riding a bicycle that you're like, oh, I remember how to do this?
A humbling bicycle, because you're just like, I
Humbling
remember
bicycle.
I could do this and I could do this so much better, but
My gosh.
oh well.
It's got to be so physically demanding. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it was a lot, but it's fine.
I mean, you're still in obviously great shape, but yeah, to be that flexible again, never been that flexible.
Now it's just good exercise.
Yeah. Oh, really? Is it tough on the feet?
No.
Really?
Well, no. Back in the day, I was doing point and all that stuff. But now, no. My ankle's going to handle that, so.
I bet you could probably figure it out. But again, it's like, is the juice worth the squeeze? Nah. It's like again, the night team's Abby Davis. You don't need to be a ballet artist right now. Ballerina? What's the official term?
Ballerina.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Ballet dancer.
Thank you. That's what I was searching
ballet
for.
dancer.
I appreciate it, so now I'm not going to get canceled by Ballet Idaho or something. So, Abby, besides being a ballerina, is on all the big stories, and we're going to talk about the housing crisis. We're going to talk about Boise's pride flag controversy, if you want, coming up next right here on This Just In. After this. Welcome back to This Just In with the night teams. Abby Davis. There's a debate during Pride Month now that we're in the state, in the city of Boise, about specifically the pride flag. Abby, this all started in the State House, right?
Right, yeah. It's been a big back and forth, and of course the latest in the debate over what flag should be flown on government property. Okay. So a new law that is restricting that, and we saw that play out at Boise City Hall recently. Yeah,
and there was a lot of debate about that during the legislative session. Creators of the bill essentially admitted that it's like, yeah, it's pretty much targeted at just one flag, that being the pride flag. And so now we're seeing that play out. City of Boise just made a decision on their pride flag that flies right outside City Hall there. Yeah. Abby did a story on that.
Yep, now an official city flag.
There you go. Yeah, not to give away too much, but let's roll the piece, and then we'll talk more about it after.
In a big show of support,
It's been flying it for a long time.
Boiseans lined the barricades outside City Hall Tuesday, hoping council members would pass a resolution making the pride flag an official flag of Boise. The same flag the Attorney General recently asked the city to take down.
I am a queer woman, and it's hard to deal with some of the hate in this state at the moment.
We are changing the system because we must.
It was standing room only in council chambers as City Council eventually voted yes. Councilmember Lucy Willits was the only no.
And I suspect this will pass. And there'll be people in this room that will cheer and people who will be furious. And I guess I would ask, to what end?
President Colin Nash says he sponsored the controversial resolution to help the city comply with the new state law outlining what flags are allowed on government property. It states official flags of a government entity are legal, but doesn't specify what falls under that category.
I think there is an expectation among the opponents of it that the government should remain neutral in issues like this. I'm not neutral on defending marginalized neighbors.
This is a political statement by McLean today.
Robert Coggins was one of several protesters.
It's exclusionary. I don't think it's inclusionary. I just want to be able to have a voice. I feel like I do not have a voice, and this mayor does not let me have a voice.
It represents everybody. We all have friends or family that are LGBTQ.
So again, that was a number of weeks ago, but the issue persists. Just for clarification, Abby, so the city of Boise was in violation of state law for a few months as they flew this flag, but now they're not in state violation, or do we know?
It's complicated,
Okay.
and that's what everybody would say. There's a gray area for sure, but technically now the law, of course, outlines what types of flags are allowed to be flown,
Okay.
And they say, you can fly official city flags. So as a workaround, City of Boise designated the pride flag as an official city flag.
As an official city flag, not the city flag, but as
An official city flag. There are
right.
several.
There you go, and that sort of aligns with the language there. You heard someone in the piece say he doesn't believe he has a voice in this debate. However, we should probably point out majority of Boise City Council and Boise's voters as well have been allies to the LGBTQIA community for years now. Do you know how long this pride flag has actually been flying?
A decade. So
A decade.
quite a long time.
So it wasn't even necessarily this mayor, this city council at all that first put it up.
No.
I remember them paying some attention to it then, but no state law yet. So this is not necessarily anything new. So when we talk about this issue, this debate continuing, it really has been potentially going on for a while.
Yeah, and there were a lot of people that showed up obviously beforehand to the meeting, and council chambers were absolutely packed. There were several hundred people there, and most of them supporting the city and what they were trying to do. Just a handful of people who were protesting and against it.
So and I understand people's frustration there, but in the end, majority sort of rules in these situations. Does Idaho's Attorney General on the state level still want the city to take down the flag now that it's an official city flag, or is that again complicated?
Yes, it is complicated because the law, there's no real enforcement mechanism, which is something that lawmakers have said that they want to go back and try to enforce. So as of now, it's an official city flag, and they can't really do anything about it.
Yeah, and there was talk about that. Someone showed up at City Hall saying, hey, we think you should take this flag down. And the city was like, well, bet. Like, there's no enforcement mechanism there. Some lawmakers had talked about this coming legislative session, 2026, going back to the drawing board and putting an enforcement mechanism in there. Is there still talk about that?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
What that will look like exactly, we have no idea, but will
Gotcha.
be a topic of conversation next session for sure.
And then I think, again, that's sort of the question. It's like, are they violating the law? Do they have to totally start from scratch, rewrite the law? I mean, we're not lawyers, but
yeah,
that'll probably all be part of the conversation. If you look at it sort of from afar, it's like, well, it's an official city flag, so.
City of Boise would say they're following the law.
Yeah.
The Attorney General would
But
disagree.
but you're a ballerina, not a lawyer.
Exactly.
Right.
We try our best to explain things simply, but
We were just talking about that.
Yeah.
As you, a general assignment reporter, me, a former general assignment reporter, we know a lot about everything, but we don't know everything about a lot. So, what's next, if anything? Just next legislative session? Are we going to see more lawyers involved in this? Do we know? Or are we just kind of going to wait and see?
we just have to wait and see.
Yeah. Okay.
See how it shakes out.
Alrighty, Abby, thank you for that. Again,
Yeah.
you do a lot. You do a lot of stories. So
Yeah.
changing gears now, if you haven't heard, we are in a housing crisis, people,
Yep.
and you probably have.
Houses are expensive. Who knew? Who knew?
Hopefully everybody, if you watch Growing Idaho every Tuesday morning on Wake Up Idaho, you know a median Idaho house, if you want to buy it, requires a household income twice the state median household income to buy. So essentially, the median income doesn't come close to buying the median house. Local leaders trying to help out, though. Abby, how are they doing that?
Well, a new committee established this session. They're going to look at some of these affordable housing issues in the hopes of potentially addressing them next session. Again, it's one of those things we'll have to wait and see, but the conversations are happening now. So
Yeah. So it's like an interim committee. Some of these committees meet after the session ends, sort of over the summer.
Yeah.
This particular one going to be all over, and a lot of people are on this committee, kind of a bunch of different stakeholders.
yeah, lawmakers from both sides of the aisle, and then there's some mayors, people from various interest groups, organizations that deal with affordable housing issues. So the idea is that they're getting together everybody that has kind of a vested interest and has leadership roles in this and kind of influence over the state.
Yeah, and chambers of commerce and everybody. Yeah, a lot of people who has information they might be able to share to figure out a solution, because a lot of people have been working on this a while, really around the nation, and they haven't found many solutions. So we'll see what they come up with. But you did a story on the very first meeting of this committee a couple weeks ago. Let's roll it.
The House is adjourned. Sine die.
We are adjourned. Sine die.
Although the 2025 legislative session is over, lawmakers are still hard at work.
We are constantly answering calls and emails and, yes, preparing for the next session.
Senator Ali Robbie is getting ready by serving on the new Local Land Use and Housing Study Committee, which came about because of a past resolution she sponsored last session.
I came up with the idea after looking at what Montana had done a few years ago. Montana is considered the least affordable market. We're the second least affordable market in the United States, so we're really similar in our needs.
Housing is becoming a workforce issue.
The committee met for the first time Wednesday, diving into how land use rules affect the price and availability of housing, among other issues. In addition to lawmakers, various community leaders are involved, including Star Mayor Trevor Chadwick.
The price of land has become ridiculous.
So we're going to be just informational gathering, talking to stakeholders like the home builders, contractors, planners, different agencies, even government agencies, hearing from them on why housing costs are so high.
Robbie says they'll use what they learned to create legislation that hopefully helps fix the problem.
Any financing mechanisms we can provide to offset the cost of housing, like through a loan fund or infrastructure funding, things like that. And then, reducing the regulatory burden. So looking at places where there are certain laws or regulations that are preventing housing from getting built.
Yesterday was a great conversation starter.
I caught up with Mayor Chadwick this afternoon, who's now out of town. What are some STAR-specific issues that you hope that the legislature can address, possibly through this committee?
Just coming up with a plan somehow to incentivize development to be able to build some housing that is available to those that have a certain AMI, right? Their income is at a certain level. I just think it takes everybody in the entire village in the state, from city, county, state folks to the development community, everybody, business community, to try to figure and come up with a solution for everybody so we could have that attainable housing.
That would be great, but you heard Mayor Chadwick talk about it. It's going to take everyone to figure out a solution or maybe numerous solutions. So many factors that go into the housing crisis. Do Do you think this is too big of a problem, Abby?
It's daunting for sure.
Yeah.
But it's something that the legislature has focused on more and more over the years. So overwhelming for sure, but I think that people are optimistic about what the future will hold just because it is becoming something that's focused on more at the State House.
Yeah. They almost have no choice, really.
Mm-hmm.
So incentives for developers, the mayor talked about that.
Yeah.
That's helping affordable housing developments, say, like in the city of Boise, they just opened up something, Franklin and Orchard. Maybe that's about a year old now, but that's like hundreds of affordable housing units, and they continue to do that. That being said, even the leaders there with the city of Boise admitted it's not enough and it's not going quickly enough. In your opinion, do you think meetings like this, committees like this, should have been created, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago?
I mean, I feel like everybody would say yes, but better late than never, and it seems like they are making some headway and at least having the conversations that need to be had. So
Sure, yeah. In hindsight, I guess, is 2020.
Yeah.
So I apologize for that, and they have gotten a lot of great people together to talk about this. Senator Ali Rabi, who also runs Jesse Tree, which helps renters. She had some ideas about possible bills this past legislative session, but she just has a bunch of trouble getting those bills sort of across the finish line in the session. I had my eye on a few. Lawmakers don't want to mess with the free market. It's a very conservative state house, which is fine, but you also have conservatives on this committee. Do you think anything that this interim committee on land use and home affordability, any sort of legislation or bills that they come up with, really has a shot to getting across that finish line come the session?
I mean, look, the earlier they start talking about it and coming up with ideas for legislation, the more likelihood, the better chances that they will make it at least further along in the session.
Yeah.
And there are Democrats and Republicans on this committee. So if they can come to kind of a middle ground before everything starts, then maybe they'll have better luck.
That's a superb point. Yeah, you've seen a number of bills like just get sidelined and then people lose patience for them where they're like, this language doesn't work. No, I wish I would have seen this sooner. They can maybe get all that out of the way over the summer and fall. Yeah, so they have something written, maybe ready to go come January.
Yeah.
Are there more meetings coming up?
There are. I actually can tell you in a second.
Fantastic.
I have it right here.
That's
Okay.
fine, yeah.
Idaho Falls, Sandpoint in August,
Yeah.
Boise in September. Senator Rabi encouraged, of course, if people live in the area, to go to the meetings. But they are also online, so.
They are, yes, and streaming, so you can take a look. And even if you don't take a look at that, it's important for you to reach out to your lawmakers, your senators, representatives, even state leaders about this issue so they understand how big of a problem it is that they need to address at this coming legislative session and do something, because as we've already talked about, a lot of time has passed already. They're sort of behind the eight ball here. And believe it or not, they will listen to you. At least they'll listen to a whole lot of you.
Yeah, and it's great they're going around to different places in the state because, of course, affordable housing is an issue everywhere, but what it looks like is different and it varies. So.
Great point.
Yes,
Abby?
I know.
That's
no, I'm kidding.
That's
That
why you're
was
on the
very
night
common
team.
sense.
That's why you're on the night team. Abby Davis, thank you so much. Okay, we're going to wrap up this Just In right after this with a Northwest accent trivia game after the break. What is it? Welcome back to This Just In from the Northwest's own Abby Davis. Abby, we're going to ask you some questions because you are from Anacortes, Washington.
That's right.
I grew up around here, so not the Pacific Northwest, but the Intermountain Northwest. I'll give ourselves credit for that. Do you think people like us in the Northwest have an accent?
I mean, I would say no, but I feel like everybody would say
Right?
say no.
Probably people in the South that are like, we ain't got accents. What are you talking about? That's more of a Texas thing. Sorry, I apologize for people who are watching in the South or Texas. However, there have been studies, like from the University of Washington, that say, absolutely, there's a Northwest accent.
Yeah, I believe it.
You do believe it now.
Well, Again, I feel like everybody doesn't think that they have an accent, but I do know that we call things differently. We have different. We have different words for things.
Okay.
Too.
Can you think of one now?
Well, it's like, people call things highway or freeway. Have you ever done that online questionnaire or survey you can take where you answer all these questions about what you call things, and then
And
it
they'll
will
tell you
like
where
guess
you are in
where
the
you're
country.
from, and it's really accurate.
So do you call it a highway or a freeway?
A freeway.
Really?
I actually think I might be going against the grain on that one, but
I call it a highway, but I also kind of grew up in the Midwest as well. So, alrighty. So what we're going to do now is Northwest accent trivia. So we're going to figure this out. I'm going to say a word with my Northwest accent, maybe, and you are going to spell it.
spell
After and only
This is
after. No,
spelling bee.
these are easy, but
Oh,
there's certain
dear.
words that maybe sound alike that aren't alike. And then we're going to reveal what I was trying to pronounce with my accent. Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, beg.
B-A-G. Oh, B-E-G.
B-E-G, not B-A-G.
A bag.
Bag.
You need
yes.
a bag, not a bag. I did
So
used
maybe
to,
I have the accent. I didn't think I did either.
I used to say this incorrectly, and then somebody really told me I needed to stop doing that.
Well, don't do it.
I need a bag.
Or Maggie O'Mara. Look, don't change that accent. It's great. Also, you're in the Northwest, so people hear it and they're like, "She's from here. She's from here."
Yeah,
okay. Oh for 1, but it's fine. It's fine. Okay. Caught.
C-A-U-G-H-T.
Yes. Got it. So apparently, I heard like out east,
Caught and caught.
you can tell they pronounce those two things differently.
Oh, no, I say the same.
Yeah.
Caught,
How would
caught.
you even do that? Like the bag in the bag, that's like even a northern Midwest
I don't
thing.
know. Maybe
like
they
a-
draw that one out more. I
Yes.
have no idea.
Okay, so I think I maybe know how they do it with the final one. It's only 3 questions.
Okay.
I'm not going to torture you too much. Okay. Are you ready?
Ready.
Dawn.
D-A-W-N.
Correct. Dawn, not dawn. Again, like out east, I guess it's somewhat different. It's like dawn.
No, they're the same.
They are the same. So I think what we figured out is that this article or this study was done by someone out east. That was like, "Oh, can you believe it? Like nobody has our.
I feel like you really
we don't
nailed
have an
it.
accent. Dwan, quat, quat. Nah, you don't have
They're
it.
the same.
You have an accent, Abby, but you have the correct accent. The Northwest accent.
Yes, yes.
If you have an accent that you want to talk about or reveal to us, like the great Abby Davis here, text it to 208-321-5614, comments or questions. If you pronounce something weird or not weird, if you think, do it. And then use the hashtag JustIN. Abby, thank you for taking the time. I know you had to
Yes,
come
of
in
course.
early because you work again on the
It's
night
worth it.
team. You can catch Abby Davis on the news at 10, the flagship show on KTVB. Thank you for joining us on this JustIN, not the flagship show, but still on KTVB+. See you next time.